How Classical Christian Education Came to Fargo, North Dakota. That's the topic for this conversation. And joining me now to talk about this are June and Larry Nygard. They are among the founding members for Capstone Classical Academy. It's great to have you guys join me for this sit-down conversation. Thanks so much. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much. We're happy to be here.
Yeah, nice to be here, Tom.
All right. So it was, roughly 4 or 5 years ago when you guys first started thinking of this idea of bringing a school to Fargo. And here we are now sitting in this beautiful headmaster's office inside this 92,000 square foot building that is just beautiful. Yeah. Now that we're here at this point, June, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What's going through your head, your heart, and your mind as you see where we are today?
It's probably one of the most miraculous experiences. Obviously, I get moved to tears when I think about it because what God has accomplished here, which began over coffee in a coffee shop and a conversation, grew, and only He could have grown this. And so now we have children that are receiving the benefits of a classical education. And it's such a blessing and a privilege to see it happen. Yeah,
it really is. Larry, how about for you?
Well, what was so exciting about it, Tom, and you often hear this from people that have service to the Lord, is you're benefited by that service more than the service you provide. And I really feel that both June and I can say that is we got to be on the inside of some miraculous things and just watch them unfold in real time right before our eyes. And obviously the fruits of all of that are here. We give the credit and the glory to God for that. But as participants, we were called to do this, and we were rewarded with seeing it unfold right before our eyes. Mm-hmm. And now the benefit for the community to have, what we hope are thousands and thousands of students that can benefit from this education in the coming years.
Yeah, it's wonderful that you both give the glory and the credit to God, because this, at least in my opinion, was clearly a move of His hand in bringing this together in the way, the speed, the rapidity with which this has come together. It's just been head-spinning, and I've only been involved with this journey since the day that the school opened, but your involvement and experience goes back a year or two or even 3 prior. What gave you guys the idea that Fargo needed a new school?
Well, I think it was really impressed upon us that we needed to find a way to have better humans because of mostly the year of 2020 and seeing how much anger and bad behavior that there was in our region and in the world. And to us, it was just a really strong push of the Lord that said, there is a better way. We had adjectives for what we wanted to see. We felt that it went into the world of education and getting to children younger, earlier, sooner, so that they become better people. But as we unfolded the process, then it became, classical education, because it's a return to what did work in the beginning. So,
yeah, you say classical education, Larry, but I guess you've taken it a step further here, and it's not just classical education, but it's classical Christian education. How and why is that the case?
Well, obviously we believe that the answers to society's problems are rooted in the Bible and God's Word, right? And so I don't think there's anything we wanted to initiate that wasn't founded on that. So that's the Christian part of it. As June said, when we started this adventure, we didn't realize it was classical that we were seeking. That's something that we quickly learned and said, that's the name for what we've been looking for. But our twist was to add the Christian to it. And so we're one of a few classical Christian schools, but I certainly think that that's the right recipe for moving forward.
And a big part of this is our affiliation with Hillsdale College. How did that relationship come about?
Well, it started, I guess, with us seeing Hillsdale College TV commercials, which we were so impressed with, and we were thinking, why can't we have education like that directed at that younger age? And then because of other volunteer commitments that we've had in the community, we were privileged to know Ron and Don Robson. And we knew that they were the only ones that we knew of, I guess, that had a son that was experiencing the benefits of being a Hillsdale College graduate. And so that's what started the coffee. We learned about Hillsdale through them, through their experience as parents and through Luke's experience as a student there. And that's what brought forth the relationship and the connection, and ultimately the process of becoming a K-12 member school under Hillsdale College. So,
Larry, talk about the importance of that relationship and what the Hillsdale connection means for Capstone.
Well, sure, that we're very blessed to be a part of the Hillsdale system. That doesn't mean that they financially benefit the school, so a lot of people get confused about that. They don't contribute financially to the school, but they do basically develop the core of our curriculum, and that's what we start with. They help, obviously, through the curriculum. They help train our teachers in the classical method of teaching, which for some of our teachers it's new, because not all of the teachers we recruit are classically experienced. So that's a big help. They also have annual board retreats where most of the board members attend every year, or at least every other year, and they teach us good management techniques and how to develop and promote our headmasters and our schools and our teachers. And so it's just a great resource for us.
You guys have previous experience with another Christian school here in town. June, my question is, why not just start another Christian school here in Fargo? Why this approach? And I think we've touched upon it briefly a moment ago, but I want to hear a little more from you on that.
Well, I think the unique thing about the classical model is that it is the classical model, and it's not based on the progressive model of education, which our public schools and our Christian schools are based on that. And so, once we put all of these things together and learn truly what a classical education is, it's really the formation of what's best for the child at the age that the child is. So it begins with that grammar phase when they're young in the pre-K to grade 3 area, where they're just sponges for memory work and all of those things. So they're fed all the wonderful building blocks of what they're going to need. And then it moves into the logic phase for maybe grades 4 through 7 or 8, where now they're naturally curious. And so the curriculum is built and it's meant to be delivered in a manner that enhances that desire to ask why. Those are good things that are happening in the classroom. It creates great discussion and learning opportunities for the children, and it keeps them all engaged. And then it prepares them to go further into their 9th through 12th grade years in the stage of rhetoric. So you have grammar, logic, and rhetoric. So it's a very purposeful plan that is matched up to how God designed us as human beings. That it's captivating how we're each made at the stage that we're made, and it enhances that. And again, back to the rhetoric phase, they're going to write a lot and read a lot and deliver oral arguments and debates and discussions and learn how to present material, defend material, and become critically thinking, reasonable people who at the end probably have a desire for civic service to their communities. We're hoping for better moms and dads eventually in the home as a result of an education like this. Whatever they put their hand to, be it furthering their education, or they would maybe go to a trade school or step into an arena of work, they will be better people in it.
Yeah.
So
You
that's the difference.
Yeah, you explained that and described classical Christian education beautifully. My son is now in his third year here at Capstone in third grade, and he is flourishing, and thankfully so, and very much in that grammar stage. And I just see the great and wonderful things that he's learning in the classroom, and I just see that he has this terrific foundation and is well on his way to becoming the type of citizen that you just described. Larry, any other thoughts with regard to the difference in terms of just a Christian school versus a classical Christian academy?
Well, again, it's rooted in the principles that are well established in the Bible, and the second greatest commandment is to love your neighbor, and that's about civics and society, and that's what we're talking about here is how do you do that, and how do you manage a society, and that attracted us to Hillsdale and their focus on that. And we were able to integrate that right into our studies here. And as June mentioned, it's not just about producing education that produces a job down the road, but it's about being holistic, a love for learning, a love for your fellow man, a desire and a recognition of your obligation to serve in your community and in your family. It's just time and time again proven to be a much better and more well-rounded education. And you're seeing that too. I tell you, one of the greatest joys for June and I is when parents like yourself, and we get this a lot, when they come up and they say, my son or daughter, they were just struggling in school, they weren't being challenged, and it's like they've just been lit on fire now, and they've got such a love for learning. They love coming to school, and the other thing is they're bringing things home with them, and they're shaping their family.
Yeah.
And how great is that when they have it influence the other way? I mean, that's what it's about, and that's the joy that comes from this kind of education.
That's beautifully expressed. I want to shift gears here a little bit and talk about the process of recruiting a headmaster. We're blessed and fortunate to the point here that we have Paul Fisher, our headmaster here at Capstone, who's been here since even before day one. Highly skilled, very articulate, very familiar with the classical Christian approach, and I can't think of a better person to have running the school than Paul. We're very blessed, very fortunate to have him here with us. Talk about kind of that recruitment process and how it was that we were able to get Paul Fisher to come here from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it was a God thing for sure. Even Paul will tell you that. But I mean, the board never thought for a minute that there wasn't going to be a Capstone, and so we early on, we just envisioned, well, what did an effort like Capstone take to succeed? And we knew that classical education was something new to this area. I mean, the closest classical school is Minneapolis, and that's so the population here didn't really know what classical was. So we felt it would be really important to have a seasoned headmaster, somebody that had a lot of experience, somebody that was articulate about the education process, because everybody asks, what's different? You're able to see it as a parent and notice a difference, but sometimes it's hard to put that into words, right? But so Paul, we felt, or the headmaster, we thought needed to be eloquent that way. Of course, they needed to have experience in classical. And so we knew we weren't going to find this in North Dakota or even the upper Midwest. And so we went about a national search to try to find the best possible candidate. And we did have a large number of people express interest. But when Paul's resume came across our desk, we said, we've got to talk more to this guy and learn about it.
I think, if I can interrupt, I think part of that too, what came through in the interview and conversation with him, we were looking for maybe a unicorn headmaster, because he needed to be kind of an entrepreneur, because you're not taking over something, you're starting something.
Yep.
And you're going from nothing to something. And you have to have a certain mindset and a patience and a diligence to do that, and that's not everybody's cup of tea, as I might say, but I think he was really motivated and challenged by the opportunity, because it doesn't come around that often. Who starts a school?
Yeah. And I think that was Paul's question too. Honestly, the first interview we had with him, I don't think he took it very seriously.
No, he was outside at a coffee shop table.
And so we
very
really
distracted.
we really questioned his desire to even
Funny he was having coffee
to be here. And but never, that didn't stop us from pursuing him, right? And I think the one thing about the founding team is that we're really a collection of entrepreneurs within themselves, and so we have this kind of a can-do attitude. It's like, let's just overcome the obstacles.
Yeah.
I think Paul saw that and thought, this could be kind of fun. You know, these guys think big. And of course, our vision for Capstone at the time we interviewed Paul wasn't what it turned out to be. It actually got bigger along the way. As we saw God unfolding things, the momentum started to grow. People started to come on board. Paul's addition, I think, helped us with that, and we just kind of grew the whole vision into what you see today. But I think Paul just thought this was kind of a unique opportunity, because he wasn't coming to fix anything. He wasn't coming to convert something that might be a progressive to classical. It was like, you have a fresh slate. We want the best of the best. We want to give you everything you need to succeed. Just tell us what it is and make a commitment to us that you'll see it through.
Yeah.
And I think he was enticed by that.
Yeah. The community support here has just been tremendous. Phase 1 of the capital campaign, the goal is $55 million. We're just a couple million shy of that right now. But it seems to me that that's a very clear indication of the incredible community support that Capstone has had up to this point. June, to what would you attribute this incredible community support to Capstone?
Well, I do think that Fargo Moorhead and the surrounding area is full of really generous people that want quality. They want to get behind something that makes their communities better and stronger. And so when you lay out a plan that is, well thought out, and we spent a lot of time meeting with people, sharing the vision and the story, they just, so in so many ways, they were touched and felt like, I want to be part of that. So it's, again, an act of God moving them. We've, again, seen so many miracles, people that have no connection by having kids or grandkids here even, but they're moved by the effort, and they have been so generous because they know it will benefit the community that we live in.
Yeah. Larry, you had a thought?
Better employees.
One of the big things I think that's helped springboard this wasn't necessarily good for the nation, and that was going back to 2020 when we really started to birth this idea. There was a lot of social unrest, and as June mentioned, we attribute a lot of that to just poor upbringing. I mean, a lack of education. I mean, I can't imagine anybody looking at our American system and saying it's not the best in the world. I mean, if you say that, it's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but it's better than anything else man has invented. The only reason you would not have that opinion is because you just haven't been taught that. And so that's why we felt the root of this problem starts with education. When we found out we're not the only ones that think that either. And so they said, let's do something great. Let's do something that shines a light on the education system and let it be a beacon to others. And again, our vision is great for Fargo, but everything we've done has been with the idea of replicating it in other communities that have an interest in starting this. And so we've had lots of opportunities to share this with other communities, and we're hoping it springs some additional growth. Yeah.
I want to talk about other communities here in just a moment, but before we do that, I want to go back to the community aspect here a little bit. June, if you could share a message with the Fargo-Moorhead community in terms of what Capstone is and what Capstone is about, what would you want the community to know?
Well, it kind of ties into, I was going to add to what I had, a conversation that I'd had with what became a donor later. It's hope. This is a place where there is hope. You can be a supporter and a donor, a volunteer. This is a place that brings wonderful things to our youth, and it gives you hope for the future. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big thing that came across in a lot of our meetings and conversations with people, that maybe they weren't going to do the work of starting a school, but they wanted to be part of it because it gave them a bit of hope for something great in the future. I don't even know if I answered that question very well.
You did, and I think it was a great answer. And I think one thing that's important to mention here right now is that as Director of Advancement here at Capstone Classical Academy, I think it's important to mention that one of our philosophies or our approach is that we do not want a lack of finances to prevent a child from a mission-aligned family from attending Capstone. We have a very robust scholarship program through the Golden Griffin Fund, which now provides scholarship assistance to about 30% of our families, and that number is growing. So I think it's very important for people to realize that, you know, if they have a desire or an interest in having their child trained this way, but don't have the resources, that resources are available. And because of the generosity in our community, we have a significant donors backing that scholarship fund as well. So I think that's really important for people to keep in mind. Larry, any other thoughts on those couple of items there?
Yeah, I mean, the board is really committed to that mission, Tom, and we don't want finances to be a hurdle for anybody. The last thing we want is to have only a select small group of the population be served by Capstone. We are better off as parents, grandparents, students, with a wide variety of thoughts, beliefs, and students here. So that's something that we're going to work on. This building has been a big effort for us because we really felt this was important to make a statement and provide an opportunity for our kids to have a great educational environment. Now that that's almost behind us, you know, some of the next efforts are really going to be focused on giving for scholarship, both from an endowment need, but also on an annual basis too.
We'll talk about the future here in just a moment, but now I would like to go back to this idea of Capstone Classical Academy serving as an example, a role model for other communities around the United States to follow in terms of opening similar schools in their communities as well. June, what thoughts or insights would you have for people in other communities who see this and say, I'd like to do that too, we want to do this too?
Yeah. Well, I would say be encouraged. You're not crazy for wanting to try it, because if you have a nucleus of people who you're of the same heart and mind, it can happen in your community, and you have to persevere and maybe even kind of handpick some people to come on board with you and talk about what kind of a school you want in your community. And you know, maybe you're not going to build a place such as this, but you have resources in your community, and the method of delivery of the education can happen in your community. And that would be the greatest thing, is if there can be another choice and another way for kids in many communities across the state or the region to have this kind of education, because it really is a good diet that's being served, and it has really good outcomes, you know. Yeah. So,
Larry, thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, it was, I don't know, countless hours that we invested, you know, to get to this point as a board. And that's not a negative. Like I said, we've enjoyed that. It's been a thrill to watch God unpack things right in front of us. But it's a ton of work. But I think we're in a position to offer a lot of sound advice about how to proceed and how to select people that are going to help you get to the cause. I mean, we were a founding team, and honestly, there was maybe some strategy in how this group came together, but it wasn't really purposeful. It was just a bunch of people that felt God-led about the same thing at the same time.
We spent a lot of time praying
Yeah.
together.
A lot of time praying.
Purposely
Yeah, and that's-
praying together.
Yeah.
Before we even tried to do anything, we
Yeah.
would pray together, read scripture, and then say, well, I don't know, what do you think should be done next? And then an idea would happen, and somebody would go
Yeah.
to Bismarck and talk to somebody out there about it. And,
Yeah.
and we just made action plans almost weekly and would come back and report. And it was really, I'm going to say it was work, but it was fun work because you felt propelled and compelled at the same time. And you just kept going.
It's not likely gonna happen with the effort of just one couple or maybe just a few. It takes a team,
Yeah.
and everybody has to be committed enough that they do their part. And we never really, as a founding team, we never had to get on anybody for not doing their stuff. Everybody was always, they'd come to the meeting, they'd have their piece of the puzzle
Yes.
done,
Yeah.
along with everybody else, and we were able to advance to the next step then. And that's just how it kept working. And I think maybe that's what Paul saw too, was just this group that would set an objective, and then they'd meet it, and then they'd move on, and it was bit by bit, and it just kept picking up steam as we were moving it.
We have an incredible team of talented, gifted, motivated, good-hearted founding board members who, along with you two, have just done a remarkable job in bringing this vision to reality. So we're very grateful, and I believe I can speak for many other people when I say to both of you, thank you so much for your time, your talent, and your treasures.
It's been our pleasure.
Making this school a reality. It's just beyond words. It's just been such a wonderful experience. In closing, how about a couple thoughts with regard to the future for Capstone Classical Academy? Larry, what are your thoughts in terms of where we go from here?
Well, obviously, a couple of critical things. We want to spread the net wide, and we do that with our students by either endowment or scholarship funds. So that's a big step for us. We have to shore that up, and we've made good strides, but there's a lot of work to do in that area. Obviously, we have a beautiful campus here, but we have 3 expansion plans that were laid out when we built this building. One of them would be what we call a varsity or an expanded gym. That would be one wing. Another wing would be a performing arts center, and a final wing would be a cafeteria, but what do they call it?
The refectory.
The refectory, which means it's
Refectory.
Refectory.
yeah, which is more than a cafeteria. So if you think of our campus now, we have the ability to have 4 pods. One of those is complete. The other 3 remain. We do have some athletic fields we'd like to do. So there's plenty of projects. We're not sure which one comes next. We're going to let God kind of lead us in that. But those are critical financial objectives. I think for a while we've all said, let's catch our breath and let's make sure we have the best teachers and the best administration and the best staff available. So I know Paul has been working really hard on that end of it, and you can attest, having worked here for a while, that we have some people that are as committed to the success of the school as we are. And they have given up great careers in other locations to come here because they see the vision too, and they want to be a part of that and growing it. So, I mean, those are some future steps. We're never going to take our eye off excellence, and I mean, everything we do, we try to be excellent at, whether it's basketball game or a concessions or a study or any of those things. We just try to be excellent at it. Right?
And also, things are done with purpose. And one of the joys that I get now is I get to see the students in their uniforms in these hallways, and that will bring me to tears too. I was never a fan of uniforms, yet these have a purpose behind them. And the students are wearing them in ways at certain ages, and then when they get a little older, they get to add more pieces because it means something. So it is a place where there is great purpose in everything, and I find that just really a blessing. And otherwise, it's just empty processes.
Yeah.
I think one of the other emphases that the board has right now is obviously protecting the mission of the school and the integrity of the programming. We want to see that carries on as board members, as we add board members, or maybe some board members start to step off. We need to have that unity of mind and purpose. We've had some very generous donors, but they're interested in making sure that we stay focused and keep the main thing. So, internally as a board, we're busy setting up policies and procedures that help keep us on track as a school. That's important because we all know of institutions that have lost their way over time.
Yeah. Here in closing, you just mentioned generous donors. What would the two of you say to others, not only in our community, but others in our region, maybe others around the country? What would you say to them to inspire them and maybe encourage them to be involved and become partners with what we're doing here?
Well, I think it has direct impact. Your generosity has direct and immediate impact on the lives of the students that are enrolled, or it will help us, like Larry said, enroll more students by creating more scholarship. It is about investing in quality and in hope, like I said earlier. And these are people that are going to graduate and go out and be great students at other colleges or universities or employers of that person one day that gives now. I mean, there's just a great benefit in being generous. And like Larry said too, I think when you are generous with your time and talent and treasure, it helps that ministry on the receiving end, but really God has more in store for you as the one being generous. So,
Larry?
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts. First of all, I'd encourage anybody that is even remotely interested to just come here and spend a couple of hours in the building and then try to walk away without being moved by that, because it's an incredible thing to watch the education process, to see the difference. You immediately see the difference in students and how they act and behave and all of that. So it's noticeable. But here's the great thing, Tom. The best is yet to come. The longest student at Capstone has only been here 2.5 years, right?
Correct.
yeah.
Wait until we start graduating kids that have gone all the way through the program, and that the full effects of this type of education will be felt. And then you will see those people as leaders throughout the community, in every job, everything they do, they will be the leaders because of what they've learned and their love for learning. That's where we're going to see the benefit, and you get to be a part of that as a donor and get to watch it happen.
Yeah, I love that long-term perspective. I think that's a really,
definitely.
really good point. We could probably talk another hour or so.
Easily.
Love to.
Well, I know June does like to talk a bit. Again, I've been speaking with Larry and June Nygard, among the founding board members here at Capstone Classical Academy in Fargo, North Dakota. If you'd like to learn more, about Capstone Classical Academy, you can go online to Capstone.Classical.com. And we'll also have a link below in the video description as well if you're watching this on YouTube. Larry and June Nygard, thanks so much. It's just been so much fun, just a pleasure talking with you guys and hearing your stories. You guys have just such a fantastic story, and it's not over yet. And we're looking forward to seeing what's going to come here in the days and the weeks and the years ahead. So thanks again so much to both of you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Tom,
the time.
and thank you for all you do, and appreciate the commitment you make to the school.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's
We
been a
do
joy.
love to tell the story.
Yep.
It's a great story.
It is a great story.
Be encouraged.
Yeah.
For people to just say, okay, God, yes.
Yeah. And you have your famous saying, June. Let's hear it.
Go, God, go.
There you go. And I've already heard that a few times just being here a short while. I'm sure you've heard it a lot, Larry. Anyway, again, great visiting with you guys, and we'll look forward to more conversations in the days ahead as we continue to walk down this beautiful adventure and journey together. So again, thanks so much. And thanks to you for watching and listening as well.